Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who Big Finish video. In today's Doctor Who Big Finish video I'll be taking a look at this, the Fanfare for the Common Men of vinyl, the Asda exclusive, limited to 1,000 copies on 140 grams heavyweight vinyl. So I'll be looking at the presentation of this vinyl itself, and of course I'll be looking at the CD as well in terms of presentation, and of course reviewing the story, so it's kind of a double whammy review. So without further ado, let's look at the presentation for this vinyl. Then we'll look at the presentation of the CD, and then we'll go to my thoughts on the actual story itself. So let's look at the vinyl. So taking a look at the presentation for the vinyl, so we've got Peter Davison, Sarah Sutton and the new Doctor Who logo there. And what we have is a beautiful fiery purple cosmos background with a vinyl in the background there, the TARDIS, some photographs of the Common Men themselves, Nyssa and of course the Doctor. So a very nice simplistic cover, and I really do like it. And the side of the release there. So opening up the vinyl, we've got this lovely bit of artwork of the Common Men themselves, sort of in the style of the Beatles album there, which is very cool, and some photos of the Common Men band themselves, and a bit about the story there. And of course we have the cast list, and of course this is the first double LP Big Finish I've done actually, in terms of mass retail, so that's very cool. So taking a look at the sleeves of the vinyl, so we've got a BFP, so it's a Big Finish production, Fanfare the Common Men, and of course we've got it done like a little 7 vinyl, which is very cool. On the other side we've got it in burgundy, and the first vinyl in this set being a lovely purple colour. The second vinyl sleeve has some cast photos of the people recording this story, which is very cool, and we do have lyrics to one of the songs what feature within this story, so that is a really nice little touch for this release. And the other side we just have the production credits for this release, and the second LP being a lovely burgundy colour. As for the CD presentation, we've got this great sort of orangey yellow background with this sort of nice explosion effect, I guess, to sort of represent this sort of time disruption. And of course we've got the sort of Abbey Road photo shoot mimic there with the Common Men and the Doctor there, and the TARDIS in the background, the banner there, and of course we've got the screaming fans of the Common Men, and this are looking very perplexed. The side of the release, and the back of the release there, and of course the cast list and the total running time being 120 minutes. So taking a look at the booklet, we've got the cast photos there and lyrics to one of the songs, and again the same sort of artwork mimicking the Beatles. Again, very nice touch and really nice attention to detail within this release. And we have writer's notes by Eddie Robson, advertisement for Doctor Who magazine, and some cast photos there. And of course we have the next instalment in the 1963 trilogy, The Space Race, and then we have credits for the release and the reversible cover. And the disc art for this release is done like a vinyl, which is kind of funny when you think that this story finally has a vinyl release. So that is a really nice little touch by Big Finish in terms of the CD product. Fanfare for the Common Men was the first story in the 1963 trilogy, containing the Space Race and the Assassination Games, part of Big Finish's 50th anniversary celebration releases, with this story being the latest to get the vinyl treatment. And I have to say that this story really does lend itself to the vinyl format, with it being a music-based story following the rise of the Common Men who have taken place of the Beatles. So it's essentially the film Yesterday, but with a Doctor Who twist. So what do I think of this story? Well, I love it. I think this is a superb 5th Doctor story, and definitely in my top 10 5th Doctor Big Finish releases of all time. Part 1. So the way this story is formatted is a very nice touch, with it having an interview documentary style, as if it was documenting the rise of the Common Men. With the Doctor wanting to show Nyssa some Earth culture and experience the phenomenon of the Beatles, the Doctor takes Nyssa to an airport, with this perplexing Nyssa, with all these fans wanting to catch a glimpse of the band. Instead, they get a very different band, the Common Men, who have just returned from Sweden. So why can't people remember the Beatles, seeing time has been changed? So we have a nice nod to the Doctor being called Grandad, which obviously fits with this being part of the 50th anniversary celebrations. But that soon changes as we have an assassination attempt on the band, which Nyssa tries to stop, but Nyssa gets transported back in time to Berlin, with the Doctor and his new friend Rita getting to talk to the band after saving their lives. With the Doctor wondering why is this band so popular, so he begins investigating the band and why they are so important. And the Doctor decides to travel back in the TARDIS to try and fix the timelines, but they discover that the time vortex is time locked, so he cannot reach 1955. So we have a nice little fun reference to time flight. I know, who would have thought a time flight reference in this story, with the Doctor saying he's not a big fan of planes. Now, one thing what I absolutely adore about this story is how the music blends the Common Men music into the actual story, how it's integrated, as it just really evokes the 1960s pop music, especially when the Doctor's walking in the TARDIS. It just really aids the story incredibly well. So well done to Howard Carter, because the music within this story is superb, and it's one of the absolute highlights of this release. I think that Howard Carter did a superb job, and it just the way how the incidental music just blends and really evokes the 1960s, it's just brilliant. I absolutely love it. So back to Nyssa. So Nyssa meets the band at an earlier point and sees the band in action. And again, this is brilliant, as we have a sort of, we see their songs in action, and they're incredibly catchy. So you really get to see why the common men have taken the world by storm with these sort of catchy songs. So well done again to Howard Carter. So we have the Doctor and Rita being invited to the Royal Variety after saving the common men's lives. So we see the whole sort of crowd being taken over by the common men. So we get a very unusual cliffhanger, and I definitely really enjoyed this part. Part 2, we have a very fun resolution to the cliffhanger with the events the Doctor witnessed troubling him. Has he very much seen the side effects the common men have on people. So we see the Doctor and Rita go their separate ways, with Rita investigating the band, and the Doctor goes to find the common men in 1967. Now this part is when Nyssa really does shine, as Nyssa begins her own investigations on the band, as she does some sort of scientific test on one of the band members, which leads to a great twist involving all of the band members, which is fantastic. And we get some really lovely sweet moments between her and Corky, with her talking about that she could never go back to Track, and her home is with the Doctor now, which is really beautiful. So this story really does give Sarah Sutton a lot to do in terms of the character of Nyssa, which is fantastic. As we see that the band are following the same trajectory and footprints as the Beatles. So why are the common men in danger? And somebody is playing a long game, as the Doctor has detected another time machine, and we see the true horror of the crowds when they're being amplified, and we get the origin of the band, and they have a new manager in the form of Lenny, and things are getting really tense with the angry mob, leading to a very classic cliffhanger. Part 3, so Rita comes back doing a story on Mark. So this explains the sort of documentary insert in the actual story, with the resolution of the cliffhanger being pretty action-packed. In this part we see Lenny's character being more explored, with it sort of gathering information on his sort of backstory and how he became the manager of the common men. And this is when Nyssa again takes charge of a situation, and you sort of wonder what's happening to Mark. Why is he afraid to go out, and why are these boxes of old photographs so important? And we realise the true power the group has. So the Doctor has to stop the group being a team again, since the band is sort of split up. And again, Nyssa confronting Lenny about the crimes he's committed, but something is happening to Mark, and something is taking him over. So it all leads to a very good, interesting cliffhanger. Part 4, so we have a very clever, explosive resolution to the cliffhanger, an interesting twist involving Lenny, as the Doctor finally has worked it all out, and it's very much a race to save the common men, as Lenny's plan is in action. And this part we see so many great twists and how it links into the grander scale of the story. It's just rather excellent. I don't really want to say too much about this part, because it's just clever how everything sort of ties together within this story, and it all leads to a fantastic ending with a nice little nod to An Unearthly Child. So moving on to the characters, so we start off with the Doctor. Peter Davison does a superb job of the Doctor being quite excited about catching a glimpse of the Beatles, which is a nice little thing to see the Fifth Doctor be sort of a fanboy, much like how he was in Tartarus. We have very much the traditional sort of English youthful gent, but him being sort of deeply troubled by what's happening to time, and him being very determined to put things right, and him being very defiant towards the end of the story, which really does let Davison shine, with him having some great explanations on time. Nyssa, played by Sarah Sutton, again a fantastic performance. This is a brilliant story, really utilising her alienness and her scientific skills in this story. With her having some really lovely sweet moments with Corky, sort of talking about the deep pain of never being able to go back home, but also being, sort of thankful that she has a new home in the form of being with the Doctor. And it's just a really lovely moment between the characters, and sort of this story just provides Nyssa a lot to do, with her really taking charge of a situation, especially in the latter. Lenny, played by Ryan Sampson. Mark, played by Mitch Benn, does a superb job bringing this sort of jokey, quite sarky, dry-witted band member to life, very much sort of mimicking sort of John Lennon, I guess, how he speaks, which is very cool. So he does a very good job at doing that. He's very much a sort of comic relief of the story, providing the comedy, very much a sort of a pessimistic attitude to him, going, enjoy it boys, it doesn't last forever. So he's a really good character, and does provide some great sort of funny moments with his dry wit. Corky, played by James Dobson, a fantastic job bringing this really innocent character to life. Who has some really lovely moments with Nissa, and it just really complements Nissa as a character. I feel like Corky does. Just excellent moments, very generous, caring character, with some nice sort of good witty dialogue, and can be a little bit goofy, and I do like Corky. He's a very nice little addition to this story. James, played by Andrew Knott, a very good performance, playing this very cheeky chappy of the group and just being a little bit curious about what everything's going on, and can be a little bit smug, so a really nice little addition to the band as well. Lenny, played by Ryan Sampson, a really great performance, playing this commanding manager who's very pushy, wants the best for the common men, but can be quite manipulative and very forceful, and just all round a prey sly character, so brilliant performance by Ryan Sampson. So what are my real thoughts on Fanfare for the Common Men? Fanfare for the Common Men really is a slice of the 1960s, and it just really helps make this story work on the vinyl format. If you're a fan of the Beatles, then you'll definitely want to check out this story, as this story offers some brilliant twists and turns. The Doctor and Nissa really do shine, as this story utilises each of the characters' strengths and uses it to their advantage. The supporting cast are great, and I can tell you that when you're listening to it, you can just know that the supporting cast are having a lot of fun recording this. The script's incredibly sharp by Eddie Robson, but a massive well done to Howard Carter, from the sort of sound design to writing the actual song lyrics, making the music in this incredibly infectious, with you as a listener really getting to understand why the common men have taken the world by storm. And it just, especially the incidental music, it just really sells the time period of the 1960s, and I think that this is a brilliant release. Much like the Scorchies, the songs just get stuck in your head, and it's utterly brilliant. I really love the music, and I think that is one of the strong highlights of this release. And it is a fantastic story, utilising all the characters to their advantage and using the time period. Fantastic. Really is a brilliant release. I absolutely do adore the Fanfare for the Common Men, and if you can get the vinyl, please do, because I think that this story really does lend itself to be made as a vinyl, as you can see by the CD, sort of mimicking sort of the way a vinyl is. So I feel like this story was a very good release for Big Finish to do as a vinyl, because it, like I said, it just lends itself, it has that sort of retro feel to it, with it being based in the 1960s, and as a story, it's definitely one to check out. If you're not a fan of vinyl, but you want to check out this story, then I really do recommend it, because it is a fantastic Fifth Doctor story. So I'm going to give Fanfare for the Common Men a well-deserved 9 out of 10. It is a superb Big Finish audio. So thank you very much for watching this Big Finish review. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video, which will be the Time Lord Victorious. He kills me not. So thank you very much, and goodbye.